Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and I'm in a completely different location. I'm at my brother's house, which will be the case for the foreseeable future unless something changes. There isn't really a plan at the moment. Today was the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and I did manage to watch it, and I kind of wish I hadn't bothered because, again, this was a pretty terrible Grand Prix, and honestly, I'd love to see Saudi Arabia taken off the calendar, but instead we are looking at taking tracks like Imola off, which is very annoying. Get rid of the good tracks, keep the boring ones. Great. This race, the most interesting thing again was qualifying, where not only did Lando Norris have a big crash, which meant he wasn't going to be starting in the top 10. To be honest, that was his first really big mistake of the year because so far it's been very, very clean, and that put him on the back foot. In the race itself, he was incredibly quick, so he made up a lot of places, but it makes you think he would have probably been in with a shout of the win if he just kept it out of the wall. Qualifying was incredibly tight. George Russell put in a fantastic lap, then Piastri beat that, and then Verstappen snuck in ahead of him with milliseconds. It was almost nothing between them. It was honestly such an interesting battle in qualifying. The race was always going to kind of be a downgrade unless something interesting happened, and it didn't. And the race itself, we had a strong start from Piastri. Verstappen on the outside got caught out and went over the chicane. That led to a 5-second penalty. Was it fair? Probably, but then I would argue that it's more a quirk of the track than strongly Max Verstappen's fault. Although that's the case at a lot of first corners. But in this case, I just don't really like the track very much. If you don't want cars going off there, you could put, like they do at Monza, where you have to go through straight on and through the polystyrene barriers. It takes a while. If it's a case that Max Verstappen felt he could make that move and gain an advantage, maybe don't give him that option. So I don't know if it's a bit tinier, bit tighter than Monza, but there's got to be something you can do to stop things like that. From then on, Piastri had the pace to sort of staying close with Verstappen. He wasn't close enough to really challenge him in any meaningful way. And then when the pit stops happened, Max Verstappen served his penalty, and then Piastri took the lead, and that's pretty much how it stayed the entire race. Norris went long on hard tyres, and it worked for him because the car was quick. He came out, he was able to get past George Russell, got into 4th place, really as good as he could have expected because the cars in front of him were very quick. Leclerc, Verstappen and Piastri did a fantastic job all weekend. In the end, 4th place is not a bad result for Lando Norris considering he crashed in Q3. But I think for his championships, at the least, it's a confidence knock that he's going to have to overcome. And that's not always easy. So we'll see how it plays on him for the rest of the season. I think Monaco's in a couple of weeks, so he's got a couple of weeks to shake it off and get back into action. I think the race itself shows he still has the speed, so I don't think this is going to hurt him too much. But I think Monaco, he's going to want to really bounce back. So again, McLaren looked like the top car. The car looked fantastic, quick all weekend, and no one else can really say that. So it's a good job from them, and the drivers are doing it justice by getting good result after good result so far. As for everyone else, Max Verstappen did a pretty decent job overcoming his penalty and staying in 2nd place, although the gaps between cars were so big, it wasn't really a challenge. Charles Leclerc in 3rd, he got past George Russell, which took him a while, but it was a good, strong performance from him. He was quick on hard tyres, and honestly, the Ferrari looks decent, and Leclerc's doing a pretty good job so far this year, keeping it up there. They've not really challenged for a win yet, and I think that'd be disappointing for Ferrari because I think the pace is there. Maybe it's going to work out differently at different tracks, but so far it's not been a letdown, but I think there could be a win coming their way very soon. George Russell, fantastic performance again, up there all weekend. I think unlucky not to be on a podium here. 5th place. The Mercedes is good, and he's doing a good job with it. Antonelli, quiet weekend for him, but he did a very good job to finish sixth. Very quiet race. Barely saw him. He was a long way behind Russell, but a fair distance ahead of Hamilton. And was kind of where you expect him to be right now, is sort of in the middle of the points. The car's quick enough to be there, and he's doing justice with the performances he's putting in. So it's another fair performance from Antonelli. Not stellar, just very, very good. Lewis Hamilton behind, again, I think he'll be disappointed. Not really on the pace of any of the cars in front of him. I don't think he really got close to anyone in this race. He got overtaken by Lando Norris. Max Verstappen got past him quite easily when he was behind him. And honestly, Hamilton had very little to offer in terms of speed during the race. Another disappointing qualifying, another disappointing race for the Ferrari. But he's scoring enough points to keep Ferrari interesting. So again, it's going to really show more how he gets on towards the end of the season, because if it's a case where this is it for his season, this is where he's going to finish, it's kind of a disappointment for Ferrari, I think, because I think with Carlos Sainz Jr., they would be doing better right now. And they've lost out on the track through no fault of their own and some faults of their own. I think there were strategy errors in Australia. Obviously, they got disqualified in China, and they've scored decent points at every race since then, but they are sort of behind Mercedes, behind Red Bull, behind McLaren in terms of overall pace. They're lucky that Yuki Tsunoda in the second Red Bull is still struggling. They're lucky that Andrea Kimi Antonelli isn't miles ahead of them and is also sort of learning at the moment and not scoring major points at every race. Like, I think Hamilton, he's just behind Antonelli and Leclerc in the championship, but Leclerc scored 16 more points than him so far, and that gap it looks set to get bigger. So I think it's going to be pretty tough for Hamilton for the rest of this year. I think at best we might see the odd podium from him. I think places like Silverstone and maybe Monza, we'll see him do well at those tracks. But I think there's a lot of tracks in between where it's still going to be a case of the Ferrari getting up to speed and Lewis Hamilton getting used to being in the Ferrari. That still takes time, still takes its toll. And I think at the moment Ferrari are suffering for that. As for everyone else who's not in the major cars, Carlos Sainz Jr. and Alex Albon in the Williams finished 8th and 9th. Another brilliant result for them. Williams are doing a brilliant job this year. Alex Albon's in 8th in the championship with 20 points. Honestly, they have been the best of the rest in terms of the other teams. The midfield battle, they're the 5th best car at the moment. So they are doing a fantastic job. We've not seen them this good for a long, long time. Isaac Hadjar in 10th. Another strong race from him. He went long on his tyres, but he wasn't falling away when the tyres were getting on a bit. He did do okay, and when he came into the pits, he didn't lose too much ground. He was able to make it up on fresh tyres. So it's a really good job from him. Another 10th place. So he's got 5 points this year. It's not too bad for a rookie year in a midfield car. He's doing fine. There's another good performance in qualifying as well. So I think Isaac Hadjar's done a lot to show what he's worth this year. Behind him and out of the points, Aston Martin once again, not really showing any kind of pace. Lance Stroll was 16th. Fernando Alonso was 11th, just outside the points. But he wasn't really close to the points, and honestly, it's all just a bit lackluster from Aston Martin this year. I wonder if they've completely scrapped this year, just given up on it, and are focusing completely on Adrian Newey and the 2026 car, seeing what he can do, waiting on Honda engine, see what they can give the car. It's going to be... I think it's disappointing for this year. I think we're going to see a lot of this from teams. I think Stake honestly don't care about 2025. Aston Martin don't really care about 2025. Honestly, I think you're going to see like Alpine stop caring about 2025. I don't think you're going to see them improve throughout the year. I think they're going to focus on 2026 and Mercedes engines at some point. Same probably goes for RB and Red Bull and even the front-running teams. At some point, they're not going to really focus on the development race. That's something for the top, like McLaren, maybe Red Bull, maybe Mercedes, maybe Ferrari. At some point, they're going to have to consider, do they want to be strong this year, or do they just want to focus entirely on 2026? I'm sure they all have different ways of managing that. But do feel like Aston Martin and Stake especially are just completely focusing on 2026 right now. Liam Lawson in the other racing ball was 12th. Again, solid but nothing special. Just outside the points. He's still on 0 for the year, which would be disappointing for him. There's nothing really... He did make a couple of good overtakes, so this wasn't a complete loss for him. But again, I feel like Liam Lawson is capable of more, and we're going to have to see throughout the season how capable he is. Oliver Behrman, Esteban Ocon, 13th, 14th, not really showing anything at this race. And then behind them, you had Nico Hulkenberg and Jack Doohan, Gabriel Bortoleto. Not really... You didn't really see them. They didn't really offer anything. It was kind of a boring race in that sense. No one was really making moves up the field apart from Lando Norris. No one was really falling down it. So we didn't get to see many changes in the midfield of this race, I felt. I think the nature of the track, not very easy to overtake. I don't know why they have so many tracks where overtaking is difficult. It's not a good idea for your racing series. It's okay for rallying. But because this race was so boring, a lot of that comes from the fact you didn't really see any battles in the midfield. There was a few overtakes on DRS, but overall, pretty mid-race. Of course, the only incident of note was Tsunoda and Gasly colliding in what was a proper first lap incident. They were just very close together. Two cars entering the same space at the same time. Not really anything anyone can do. It's a shame because Gasly again looked really, really quick, but Tsunoda had a solid qualifying. It shows that he has at least improved on what Lawson was bringing. He made it to Q3 again. It would have been nice to see what he could have done in the race, because I think it would have been interesting to see if he could have challenged Lewis Hamilton for 7th. I think the pace might have been there. I don't know if it'd been much more than that, but I think we are starting to see better things from the second Red Bull. Overall then, nothing too exciting about this Grand Prix, but another win for Oscar Piastri, his 3rd in 5 races this year. Puts him in the championship lead ahead of Norris and Verstappen. Russell's not too far behind as well, so if Mercedes find a little something, they could be in the championship fights. Leclerc's a little bit further back because of his disqualification and his poor result in Australia. It's open, and that is interesting, but the races haven't necessarily been all that good. I think that's the tracks. I think Bahrain and Jeddah especially are just not very good tracks for Formula 1. And we've also had them all very close together. So it's been a month since Formula 1 started and we've already had 5 races. That's pretty insane. It's too many. It's kind of makes races like this where nothing really that good is happening. It makes them a drag to watch. And Bahrain was a tough watch as well. Japan was obviously very boring, which was more surprising. China, I think, was okay. I don't think it was super amazing. And Australia, it rained and that mixed things up. But I think we've had a few dud races in a row. We need a break from Formula 1, and luckily we're getting that. We've got 2 weeks off until Miami. I think I said Monaco earlier. It's Miami in 2 weeks' time. And I am looking forward to that one. We'll see what happens. There's a couple of weeks for everyone to get themselves sorted. I think a lot of teams have a lot of things to go through and sort of try and get a bit more performance out of their cars, or try and think where things are going wrong. So hopefully this 2-week break will give them time to do that. It's interesting to see what Oscar Piastri can do if he can continue this run of form throughout the year. So far he's got 4 wins in his career to Lando Norris's 5. He's only 1 win behind him. And I honestly think that Piastri has a strong chance of the title. He looks like a good driver. He's doing a fantastic job. And that's going to be tough for Lando Norris to overcome. But it's going to be a tough fight between the 2 McLarens, I think, throughout the year. And that might just give Max Verstappen a chance to sneak in and take it. Or maybe we'll even see someone like George Russell strike when no one expects it. Which I think is entirely possible. I think he's in a perfect place to do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix? Who do you think will be champion? I know it's very early stages. Hard to tell. Sorry about the noise of the cars going past. I'm very close to the main road here. Hopefully something gets sorted out in the near future. But until it does, this is likely the setup, and there'll be less regular videos because I'm not here all the time. I'm going back and forth between places. So really for the foreseeable future, it's going to be less releases and in this location, which isn't ideal. We'll see how it all works out. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm just dealing with it as it comes. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.